New employee doesn't realize ticket history exists, by user Travisvs. A long time, and a few jobs, ago, another new ticket popped into my queue, accompanied by the familiar fanfare of both my computer and my phone announcing the arrival of the email notification. When I open it, I see this name's changed to protect the guilty. The Scunthorpe report isn't working. It was uncommon for departments to have various internal reports, with various names they use among themselves and know what they are. It was uncommon, however, for them to realize that there exist other departments, such as IT, who are unfamiliar with their internal jargon. And that's not even mentioning how utterly useless a ticket is when the problem is described as isn't working. Doesn't load? Errors out? Help me out here. So I pick up my phone and dial the user's extension. No answer. I leave a voicemail telling her I need more information, then update the ticket to say the same and set the status to waiting on client, and move on to the next ticket. A couple of days later, I notice the ticket is still in my queue with no updates, so I pick up the phone again, and again leave a voicemail. Almost 2 weeks later, I get the fanfare of a new email notification, this one announcing a ticket has been reopened. Surprised, I open it, it's the Scunthorpe ticket again, now with a new client update. Do not close this ticket. The issue is not resolved. Confused, I check the ticket history, and see that system closed the ticket a couple of days earlier. Turns out, if a ticket languishes in waiting on client for 2 weeks with no updates, the system automatically closes it. So I leave another voicemail, add another note to the ticket, and again set the status to waiting on client. Again there's radio silence for 2 weeks, followed by the ticket being angrily reopened. We repeat this dance over and over, with the reopening messages becoming increasingly vulgar and abusive. I stopped wasting my time leaving voicemails, and it just become a bi-weekly ritual to add another request for more, any information and change the status again. Honestly, I probably should have reported the abusive language, but it was far milder than I get from 12-year-olds in Halo Deathmatch, so I just let it roll off my back and carry on. So this goes on for probably 3 or 4 months or so, and suddenly I get a call from HR requesting I come down right away. Not thinking anything of it, probably another HR tech needing help configuring their Outlook, I head on down, only to be ushered into a tiny office that passes for their conference room. There already waiting for me are my boss, the assistant director of HR, who we'll call Tina, and a woman I've never met, who we'll call Alice. Tina starts to explain something about my behavior, or attitude, can't remember now, becoming a problem, when she's interrupted by Alice, who begins ranting at me about my refusal to help her and how it's made her unable to do her job. Halfway through her ranting it suddenly clicks who this is, the Scunthorpe ticket client. I let her finish, then quietly open my laptop, log into the ticket system, and pull up the ticket. I turn the screen so my boss and Tina can see, and start to slowly scroll through the months-long history on this ticket. Alice has lost all color in her face as I make sure to pause a little longer on her more abusive comments. She's silent as Tina apologizes to and dismisses my boss and I. A couple of days later the ticket is auto-closed again, having had no updates in 2 weeks. It's never reopened. I never hear from Alice again, or see her again. I don't know if she was fired, or encouraged to quit. Encouraging people to quit seemed to be a popular pastime in HR, or just spent her time there hiding in whatever hole they'd put her in. And to this day, I still don't know what the Scunthorpe report was. Edit. Apparently I forgot to include a detail crucial to understanding how this situation escalated so suddenly. Alice aka Scunthorpe client worked in HR, Tina in fact may have been her direct supervisor. Also, since it's causing a bit of confusion in the comments, the report was not actually called the Scunthorpe report, that was just me making a cheeky reference to the Scunthorpe problem in the retelling of this story. I don't remember the actual name of the report, just that it sounded like it was named after a person, probably the current or former employee who originally created it. Also I thought Scunthorpe was somebody's name, didn't know it was a place in England, so thanks to everyone who pointed that out, I learned something. What is that keyboard you got? By User Freak from Sweden. Hi again TDS. I'm having a great time at my new job. Everyone is great and I love all of my customers. So I thought I'd share another positive story with you guys, they make me happy. Today's story starts during quite a hectic time. Everyone is getting back from vacation and we are slammed. During these times I like to work from the front desk area. We got a couple of workstations there where we can hook our laptops into. This way I can greet customers as they come to the desk, rather than them calling the bell or waiting. Hello, a voice calls out from in front of me and I peer over my monitor's hello. Normal stuff, she has forgotten her password during her vacation and needs a new one. I walk back over to my PC to set her up. Curious, oh. What is that keyboard you got? The keys are very high. I've brought my own keyboard to work, a basic Roachcat Vulcan 80 but it's mechanical and does the job. From the angle she is looking at it though, which is straight on, it looks very space age. Me, oh, I brought my own. I hate the ones we got here. Curious, what's special about it? The keys look like they are on stilts. Me, it's mechanical. It's actual mechanical switches rather than a mushy membrane that you press down on. It's great and stresses my hands less. Curious, that's nice. The keyboards here are bad. Is it better to type on? Me, I think so. At least for me, personal preference I think. I set her up with a new password. She thanks me for my time and help. I love happy cheerful customers. A week passes and I get a chirp / on Skype. It's Curious and she wants me to come to her workstations. She needs some help setting her laptop up. I head up to her floor, find her standing by her desk, giddy with excitement. Curious, oh hi freak. I got me one of those mechanical keyboards. Where can I plug it in? A week earlier this lady had never heard about different types of keyboards and probably never even tried a mechanical one. This was not just any keyboard. It was a freaking custom build. Looked crazy expensive and extremely pretty. Me, wow. That's nice. Where did you find that? Curious, I looked around. Did you know you can build your own keyboards? I found a web page that let you pick your parts and someone builds it for you. I made a green one. Oh, and listen to the sound it makes. Thussy, thussy, thussy /. Me, in absolute amazement mind you, this lady is 50 plus wow. So what you do is you connect the keyboard directly to the screen, it acts as a hub for your PC. Curious, that's easy, I can do that myself next time. Thanks you again freak. These users keep amazing me. Not only did she manage to find terms to Google from our short conversation, she also managed to get a keyboard customized and built for her. I've got a creeping suspicion that she now knows more about keyboard than I do. Maybe I should ask her for advice in the future. Your backups are causing the compiler to fail, by USERB 26354. Back in the early 1990s, I worked in a department of a research center that had a mix of servers, each running their own version of Unix or Linux. Each server had its own unique quirks, and it was my team's responsibility to administer them all, so we had to keep track of what was odd from one system to another. One day, one of the programmers came into our office, and she was complaining that her C program compiles were failing because backups were running. A strange issue, indeed. We checked and saw that they were indeed running, so as a favor, we stopped the backups. It seemed very strange that it happened, but since the machine was strange, we didn't think much of it. The problem is that those backups were very slow, and they took most of the day to run. They were on these QIC 150 cartridge tapes, which were pretty slow, even by early 1990s standards. We restarted the backups and let them finish later on. Next day, she comes back in, same situation, and we tried to delve further into the issue, but could not find anything. Even after stopping the backups, she came back again, and complained that something was still wrong, and that her code wouldn't compile. There wasn't much in the way of tech support for this server and operating system, but we suspected that she was just using it as an excuse. Backups should only just read files and write them to tape, yes? The next day, she returned with her team lead, her boyfriend, actually, and he insisted we fix the problem right then and there, since it happened yet again. So, we walked over to her desk, and watched what she was doing. Sure enough, she ran the compiler, and her program wouldn't compile. However, her compiles were complaining of syntax errors in the code, and missing components. Her method of compiling did not involve using standard CMake files, but she had written her own convoluted scripts that mimicked what a standard CMake file would do. She claimed it was easier, but whatever. As soon as her script would fail, she would immediately check all running processes, and sure enough, the backups were running. She hurriedly pointed to the backup processes on the screen and exclaimed, "That must be the problem." Instead of believing her, we asked to look at her code. We found problems with her code, and that was the real reason for the failures, big surprise. We fixed those, and her program compiled. She wouldn't accept that, and kept insisting it was the system backups causing her problem. At that point, we just smiled and nodded, and said we'd return when we had a solution. When we got back to our desks, one of the guys had a possible solution, but he wouldn't tell us until he was sure it'd work. The next day, we checked in with her. She ran into compiler problems again, but she saw that the backups weren't running, so the problem was elsewhere. She went back to her code and figured out what she had to fix, and never came back to us about this again. The solution? She told us exactly what she blamed, so my CO worker took that out of the picture. Instead of stopping the backups, he changed the name of the backup program to Emacs, a text editor, so that when she checked the system processes, she only saw that the operator was running an editor. Backups were never a problem again. I'll never forget that one. I sent you the username, by user Nerdy. A boss contacted us because one of her new employees can't log in on his account. In the mail she sent us she included his username, but when I looked at it I noticed it was completely the wrong format to be one of our usernames. So I scrolled down in the email we had received and saw that she had also included the automatic email that had been sent out when the account was created, containing a different username than the one she sent us. So I sent her a reply pointing out that the username she sent us was different from the one in the automatic email. I explained which username was the correct one and I asked which one the employee was trying to use. And what does she reply? I included the username in the mail I sent you. So, when informed that she either made a typo in the mail sent to us, or gave her employee the wrong username, her response is to ask us to look at the email she sent us. Imagine having that person as a boss. Client reinstalls Windows by themselves and then complains that none of their files are there, by user Kogoblin. So one of my clients asked me to assist them with their computer not booting up. I work remotely, so I couldn't be on site to troubleshoot, so I work with them over the phone to ensure the hardware is connected properly and the BIOS is set up correctly. Computer still doesn't boot, so I inquire if they have a boot disk or USB bootable drive. They say they do but they'll have to find it and that they'll call me back later. About 2 hours pass and I receive a frantic call that the customer got Windows to work but all their programs/files are gone from the desktop. I can't connect to the computer, so I get them to reinstall our RAT and find a lovely discovery: they didn't repair Windows, they completely reinstalled it. I gave them specific instructions on how to repair Windows when they found their boot media. I told them not to click install Windows multiple times. I asked that they call me before they proceed to avoid any issues. /__/. Luckily they had their files backed up to another drive, so I was able to get some of them back, the ones that were backed up the previous day. I reinstalled their software and set it all up again. Client was happy, so I guess it ended well.